Joe Biden says he believes all women. Does he believe Tara Reid? Welcome back, everybody, to Judgement. And today we're talking about Joe Biden being hashtag MeToo'd by a former employee of his, a former staffer, this Tara Reid person. And if you notice, the articles I got pulled up, one's from Reason.com, there's The Intercept, and the other is Heavy.com. Because CNN, MSNBC, ABC, NBC, to my understanding, are just refusing outright to cover this story at all, even though we have a presidential candidate who has been credibly accused. Now, if anyone is familiar with what happened in the Kavanaugh situation, or any situation involving Donald Trump, it seems to be when people get accused on the right, these networks will pick those stories up, they'll run them uncritically, and it is automatically a believe women situation. As Joe Biden has said in all of these situations, you just believe the woman. So, you can kind of see why I'm chuckling a little bit, because now that Joe Biden is being accused, and Joe Biden's the Democratic frontrunner, just no. Like, they refuse to even comment on it. So, let's just hop right into this one. If you can do me a favor, leave a comment on this video, leave a like, and then leave another comment. Even if that comment is, we are not leaving 2 comments on your videos, Crow. 1 is enough. I don't mind. All comments are great for the YouTube algorithm, especially when you post them twice. Alright, so Joe Biden is being accused by a former staffer. Says that he assaulted her, did the bad touch in 1993. When it comes to Me Too sexual misconduct issues, former Vice President Joe Biden, the Democrat Party's presumptive 2020 presidential nominee, has made it no secret where he stands: automatically believe women. For a woman to come forward in the glaring lights of focus nationally, you've got to start off with the presumption that at least the essence of what she's talking about is real, said Biden during the confirmation hearings of Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh, who faced accusations that as a teenager, he had assaulted a woman at a party. So right off the bat, that doesn't look very good for Joe Biden, and it doesn't look very good for any of the networks refusing to cover this story. As Vice President, Biden played an important role in the Obama administration's efforts to compel colleges and universities to take sexual violence more seriously, and to adopt policies that limited the due process rights and presumption of innocence for the accused. In recent years, his rhetoric on these issues has been in lockstep with Me Too activists. Despite his public pronunciations on the subject of never touching women without their explicit verbal consent, Biden has previously faced accusations that he was too handsy with people. But now the former vice president is facing a much more serious accusation of sexual assault from an alleged former staffer named Tara Reid. And so that's the thing. Again, I don't want to dredge up old stuff with the Kavanaugh hearings, but Biden was very vocal that if someone is willing to put themselves out into the public spotlight, you should just assume, that he says believe, but basically take what they are saying very seriously and just assume that what they're saying is true. Otherwise, why would they be putting themselves out there? And well, if we're all adults and we all want to play by our own rules, then I would say that Joe Biden should probably resign from his campaign, like, immediately. But obviously that's not going to happen. And you know what? Actually, Joe Biden probably has the best defense out of anybody, in which he'll just say that he does not remember ever making that statement, because currently that man is suffering from fucking dementia. It remains to be seen whether the mainstream media will assign Reid's story as much credibility and importance as that of Christine Blasey Ford, the woman who accused Kavanaugh. They certainly have not done so yet. In any case, supporters of Biden, as well as the candidate himself, should take this opportunity to reflect on whether automatic belief is a useful or practical approach for handling decades-old claims of misconduct. And again, I've seen people on the right sharing this story around, but I will give Joe Biden the same leeway that you had to give Brett Kavanaugh. If you're going to say that a case that is, decades old, it needs to be taken seriously, but at the same time, you should not just automatically believe it. If you're on the right-wing side of things and you are sharing this story to discredit Joe Biden, well, that's wrong, obviously. But at the same time, if you're Joe Biden and you've said on the record that if someone's willing to come forward into the public spotlight, that means that, essentially there's a kernel of the truth in there, then, oh boy. I guess maybe he just didn't ever think that anyone would accuse him of something. Reed describes herself as a California-based victim rights advocate and activist in her interview with the journalist Kate Halper, who has helped bring this accusation to light. Reed says she worked for Biden in the early 1990s and asserts that she was unambiguously assaulted by him in 1993. According to Reed, he began kissing her without her permission, pushed her against a wall, reached under her skirt, and penetrated her with his fingers. He said, "Come on, man, I heard you like me." Reed recalled to Halper in the interview, "For me, it was like everything shattered. I looked up to him. He was like my father's age. He was this champion of women's rights in my eyes. I couldn't believe it was happening. It was surreal." Reed had already complained to her bosses about sexual harassment in Biden's office. She said a supervisor had once asked her to serve drinks at an event because she had attractive legs, but had shared the more serious accusation against Biden with a few close confidants. She said she once tried to talk to a supervisor about what had happened, but this person shut her down before she could tell the whole story. She also said she filled out an official form detailing her assault, but does not know what became of it. And that would be interesting, because one of the things in the forward allegations, again, not to drag up old stuff, there wasn't anything from the past that she could reference back to as clear proof that anything had occurred, or even that she was making those accusations that occurred. If this woman did file an official complaint against Joe Biden, it has to be somewhere out there. And I would imagine that if any of these networks were willing to dig into this, they could find it pretty easily. So I say give this some time, because the story is slowly building and bubbling up to the surface, and we'll see if there's anything there. But if there is something like that, damn, I really wonder if they're going to continue to ignore the story. A year ago, Reed, who supported the campaigns of Senator Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders, attempted to come forward with stories of sexual harassment in Biden's office. As detailed in an Intercept piece, which I have pulled up, he reached out to Time's Up, a project of the National Women's Law Center that provides support for alleged #MeToo victims. Time's Up declined to assist Reed. The organization's official excuse was that a feud with a national political candidate could jeopardize their status as a 501c3 nonpartisan group. Oh boy. Yeah, that is insane. Like, so essentially, if you do something, I mean, I don't know a way of saying it on YouTube that wouldn't get me suspended. It wouldn't flag my channel down. But they're basically saying if you're a political candidate on the national level, so basically a presidential candidate, right? Basically, if you're running for president, that means that you are exempt from being how does that make sense? Like, if someone's got an accusation, you say that you're there to represent these victims, you there's nothing partisan about that. Like, the accusation exists, you should just look into it. And that is crazy. The public relations firm that works on behalf of the Time's Up Legal Defense Fund is SKD Knickerbocker, that's a fun name, whose managing director, Anita Dunn, is the top advisor. Whoa. So they don't want to appear to be a nonpartisan group by investigating a claim against Joe Biden, a presidential candidate. But the PR firm that works on behalf of Time's Up Legal Defense Fund is their managing director is an advisor to Biden's presidential campaign. That is insane. that is fucking insane. A spokesperson for Biden declined to comment. The SKDK spokesperson signed to Time's Up referred questions back to the NWLC, the National Women's Law Center. So, boy, does that sound like a cover-up. Boy, does that sound like they are covering up for Joe Biden in a major way. Also sounds like they don't take things very seriously when they're being directed at people that they support. The mainstream media has given Reed little attention. She was interviewed on Hill TV by Crystal Ball and Sagar Anjadi, and they actually have a really cool show. because Cigar is on the right. Cristobal's pretty much a leftist individual, but the two of them are able to sit down and have conversations with people. It's really fun to watch them go. Oh, man. But the New York Times, Washington Post, and CNN have all declined to cover the story thus far. The anti-Biden left, however, has seized the opportunity. Hashtag I believe Tara Reid was trending on Twitter on Thursday. Nathan Robinson's editor of the leftist publication Current Affairs has criticized MSNBC and CNN for failing to cover the story. Well, yeah, because CNN and they're very biased outlets. We all know this. If you are center left, center right, or anywhere near the right side of the spectrum, basically. Sanders supporters, of course, have every incentive to weaponize this last-minute accusation against Biden in an attempt to deny him the nomination, and Biden fans have every reason to roll their eyes at these attempts. They can write off Reid as someone who, at the very least, waited too long to tell her story and was a supporter of rival campaigns. Both sides have a point. Barring the emergence of some really credible documentation, it's going to be nearly impossible to informally adjudicate, formal adjudication being absolutely impossible, the accusation. Too much time has passed. On the other hand, the very recent precedent set by mainstream media and mainstream liberals during the Kavanaugh episode is that all accusations should be revisited, no matter how old. Indeed, one could make a better argument for considering Reid's accusation than Blasey Ford's. The latter concerns behavior that occurred during the accused person's teens years in the early 1980s, whereas Biden allegedly committed his transgressions while a sitting U.S. senator. And again, Biden himself has taken the position that we should believe women even if it takes them a very, very long time to come forward. It seems unlikely that Reid's accusation can sink Biden's candidacy, but whether Democratic primary voters in the mainstream media are willing to air it out as they did Kavanaugh's will tell us a lot about what believe all women actually means. Yeah, that was actually a pretty good article there. And I think these are all fair points. But again, I would absolutely say, like, look, you need to take the claim seriously, but it needs to be investigated. Everybody deserves the presumption of innocence. But I remember what all of these people said during the Kavanaugh hearings. I remember Alyssa Milano being invited into those hearings where she sat behind Brett Kavanaugh and the cameras caught her like scowling at him. Well, Alyssa Milano has come out and endorsed Joe Biden for presidency. So, like, come on, like, say something, you know? Like, stand by your values, stand by what you actually say that you believe in. Because right now, you're seeing that all these people are completely two-faced. I mean, not that should be surprising to anybody. Anyways, let's go into the Intercept article. Time's Up said it could not fund a #MeToo allegation against Joe Biden, citing its nonprofit status in his presidential run. Now, they kind of covered this in the other article, but again, right? Like, come on. What do how are you going to say that you cannot investigate Joe Biden because he's a national presidential candidate and you want to appear to be nonpartisan, but at the same time, the PR firm that represents Time's Up, they're managing, you know, she works for his campaign. She's a top advisor for his campaign, and she also works for the PR firm that represents, like, come on. It feels like they're covering this crap up. Man. Last April, Tara Reid watched this familiar conversation around her former boss Joe Biden and his relationship with personal space unfolded on the national stage. Nevada politician Lucy Flores alleged that Biden had inappropriately sniffed her hair and kissed the back of her head as she waited to go on stage at a rally in 2014. Biden, in a statement in response, said that not once in his career did he believe that he had acted inappropriately. I'm going to call bullshit right there, because, we've all seen the little photos of Joe Biden sniffing little kids' hair, and I think he made, like, one statement about how he loves it when little girls will rub up and down his leg hairs. Dude's creepy. Like, even if you want to say, well, you know, he's never actually done any stuff, yeah, but he is legitimately creepy, and I do not think he understands personal bounds at all. So, the Flores allegation sounded accurate to Reid. She said because Reid had experienced something very similar as a staffer in Biden's Senate office years earlier. After she saw an episode of the ABC show The View in which most of the panelists stood up for Biden and attacked Flores as politically motivated. Yeah, that's disgusting. If you are going to make the accusation that all women's claims should be believed and taken seriously, but more specifically, all women should be believed, and then turn around when they accuse someone that you like and go ahead and say, no, they're a partisan actor. They're faking it. They're liars. It doesn't work that way. You cannot set up rules for everybody else, and the moment it affects someone that you like or affects someone that you know personally, you turn around and go, no, that's a lie, that's bullshit, don't even listen to it. It doesn't work that way. And the more you try to cover it up, the more obvious it becomes that you don't actually have any moral stance on this. You are just using Me Too and Believe All Women as a bat against people you despise. Otherwise, you just want to shut it up and not pay attention to it. That's really disgusting. She gave an interview to a local reporter describing several instances in which Biden had behaved similarly towards her, inappropriately touching her during her early 90s tenure. So we read through that. She said that matched what happened to Flores. Plus, she had filed a contemporaries complaint, and there were witnesses, so she considered this allegation bulletproof. The short article brought a wave of attention on her, along with the accusation that she was doing the bidding of a Russian. Oh, God. They accused her of being a Russian asset. My fucking God. That's gonna make this claim go away. Just say that she's working on behalf of the Russian government. It worked so well for the past 4 years. It worked so well when you use that accusation against Bernie Sanders. It worked so well using that accusation against Donald Trump. Now you're saying that an individual coming forward with an allegation of sexual misconduct is a Russian asset? Are you fucking nuts? Oh, man. So Reid went quiet. As the campaign went on, Reid, who was first supported Senator Elizabeth Warren and then Senator Bernie Sanders, began to reconsider staying silent. She thought about the world she wanted her daughter to live in, decided that she wanted to continue telling her story and push back against what she saw as online defamation. To get legal help and manage what she knew from her first go-around would be serious backlash, she reached out to the organization Time's Up, established in the wake of the Me Too movement to help survivors tell their stories. The Time's Up Legal Defense Fund was the recipient of an outpouring of donations over the past 2+ years, and is set up as a 501c3 nonprofit housed within the National Women's Law Center. It was launched in December 2017 and was the most successful GoFundMe in the site's history, raising more than $24 million. Well, don't you feel glad if you donate to that cause? Jeez. Among the accusers back so far by Time's Up are some of those assaulted by Harvey Weinstein, as well as some of the others with allegations against executives in male-dominated industries. The group has given more than $10 million towards funding cases. In January of this year, Reid spoke with the program director at NWLC and was encouraged by the conversation. The fact that she was a Sanders supporter that had come forward previously in incomplete fashion didn't dissuade Time's Up. The program director referred her to outside attorneys, Reid said, suggested that Time's Up Legal Defense Fund might be able to provide funding for PR and subsidized legal assistance. The program director shared with Reid the note she planned to forward to attorneys, which read in part, she began publicly sharing the harassment she experienced in April 2019, but was attacked online. So this is from April 2019, so that is, respectfully, that's well before Joe Biden was considered the frontrunner. This was, I think at this time, Warren was considered the frontrunner, so I won't say that she came forward with this claim last minute to tank Biden's campaign. She came forward in April, so she came out forward a year ago. So that, to me, seems a little bit more credible, but, at the same time, I stand by what I said. It needs to be investigated. I am just baffled by what I'm reading here, and the fact that, well, I shouldn't say that I'm baffled. Of course they don't want to cover this fucking story. These people are so disgusting. April 2019 was attacked online, including the Richard Painter University of Minnesota law professor who worked in the Obama administration and journalist Edward Iser Dovere. for being a Russian operative. Jesus, like, you cannot use the term Russian agent, Russian asset anytime someone does something you don't fucking like. Oh, man. There is more to the story of the harassment that she did not feel safe sharing at that time. She is looking for support in sharing her story and guidance on any possible legal action that she may be able to take against online harassers. The references to Dovere and a reporter with The Atlantic and Painter stem from their Twitter post that highlighted favorable comments Reed had made about Putin in a now-deleted post on Medium. What if I told you that everything you learned about Russia was wrong, she had written in one 2018 post. President Putin scares the power elite in America because he is compassionate. Well, I think she's just kind of dumb. Sorry. I think that she may just be kind of dumb. President Putin, I say keep your eyes on the beautiful future. Maybe, just maybe, America will come to see Russia as I do. With eyes of love to all my Russian friends, happy holiday and happy new year. Maybe she's just dumb, guys. Reed says that she learned about Russia and Putin through Russia. I'm not going to go through all of this. Reed's leftist mother raised her to oppose American imperialism, be skeptical of American exceptionalism. So, yeah, she's just dumb. By February, she learned from a new conversation with Time's Up, which she involved director Sharon Tajani, that no assistance could be provided because the person she was accusing, Biden, was a candidate for federal office, and assisting a case against him could jeopardize. Bullshit. I mean, come on. That is horseshit. On February 11th, the NWLC program director wrote to Reed, "He wanted to let you know that after our conversation, I talked further with our director Sharon Tajani about our ability to offer funding or public relations support in your case. Unfortunately, the fund's decision remains the same. Please know how much I appreciate your courage in speaking out and appreciate what you shared over the phone, that you are speaking out so your daughter and other young people can start their careers free of harassment." When reached for comment by The Intercept, the program director Reed had spoken to referred questions to the NW. Yeah, so we read through that, and they basically gave the, we're a nonprofit, we can't investigate this. That is... Man. By February, Reed learned that no assistance could be provided because Biden was a candidate for federal office, and assisting a case against him, Time's Up said, it jeopardized. I mean, I don't buy that at all. And I guess this is where they get into it. Ruling out federal candidates marks as off-limit any members of Congress running for re-election, as well as President Donald Trump. Ellen April, a professor of tax law at Loyola Law School in Los Angeles, said that Time's Up's analysis is too conservative, and the group wouldn't be putting its tax-exempt status at risk by taking a case involving a candidate for federal office, as long as it followed its standard criteria for taking... I mean, yeah. Like, this whole excuse is bullshit. As a legal matter, if the group is clear regarding the criteria used as to whom it is taking to court, feel that these are long-established neutral criteria and they are being applied to individuals completely independent of their running for office, it would not be a violation of tax law. Groups are allowed to continue to do what they have always done, she said. The public relations firm that works on behalf of Time's Up Legal Defense Fund. And then here they go into it again. As for influencing... Oh, they actually have an update. Reed has given an interview with podcast... I'm just going to jump right into that. Reed has given an interview with podcast host Katie Halper describing her time in Biden's office, which she described as sexual assault in 1993. At times, she told her mother, brother, and friend who worked in Senator Ted Kennedy's office about the incident. Her mother had since passed away, but both her friends and brother told The Intercept they recalled hearing about it from her at the time. Reed's friend So she actually has people backing up that she made these accusations and told them. So this is already several levels in credibility above the Kavanaugh accusers. So why are we not hearing about this every single day nonstop? I guess it doesn't actually matter to them. So, and then this fun one, this is from Heavy.com. Tara Reid, 5 fast facts you need to know. We're just going to skip through this really quick because they covered a lot of this in the other one. Reid alleged in a podcast interview that Biden sexually assaulted her against a wall. Number 2, Reid previously came forward with other allegations after another woman accused Biden of being inappropriate. All true. Number 3, Reid was criticized for comments she made about Vladimir Putin and urged people to vote for Bernie Sanders. Number 4, Reed described a difficult relationship with her father and time spent in Hollywood. Now, to me, that doesn't mean anything here. Joe Biden denies that he ever acted inappropriately around women. I mean, I don't understand why that would be one of the 5 fast facts you need to know about Tara Reid, but just like it's funny though. It's funny in the sense that you know that this is how they are. You know this is how our mainstream media is. They've selected the candidate that they want to win, which is Joe Biden. They are going to run defense for him. They will ignore stories that put him in a negative light. They don't care. They are partisan actors, just the same as any political operative is a partisan actor. And if you need any more proof of that than this, I don't know what to tell you at this point. I just don't. But I wanted to share that with you, go through this entire story. You guys kind of know what's going on. And you tell me, do you think this is just another example of, mainstream media playing defense for a Democratic candidate? Or do you think they just like covering for people who do the bad touch, like they did with Harvey Weinstein and Jeffrey Epstein? And all right, guys, I'll stop. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.